Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk Rates and Repeat with your hosts. I'm Gary Lai, and I have Queeny with me. Today, we're going to talk about something that we run into constantly, which is basically condos. The approval process, some horror stories, and some significant changes, I would say, to approving condos. So, Queeny, why don't you tell us about your thoughts on condos and your experience with condos?
Well, where I'm in New York City. Um,
Had
so
to
I'm in New
correct the
York
city.
and I had to. And I gotta say, most of my transactions are either condos or co-ops, right?
Right.
I get the occasional single families and I get really happy when I get them because they're just so much easier to do. Um, but condos and co-ops have just, it really takes a certain type of like expertise to be able to ensure a smooth transaction when it comes to condos and co-ops.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is condos are not only does the buyer need to be approved for financing on like their credit aspect, the lender has to go and approve the building itself, right? So the
Hmm.
way you would think that you're approving a buyer with looking at their credit, their income, their assets, the type of property they're buying, the bank is using that same model and looking at the building itself. So I like to, they look at the building's assets, they look at the building's income, which is their profit over loss year
Financials.
over year,
Yeah.
right? Their financials. And then I like to kind of equate the credit aspect to the building's makeup, which is
Hmm.
kind of their occupancy, right? Like how many units are owner occupied, how many is second home, how many is investor, right? And I've had so many deals kind of either need to fall under like a non-warrantable category, which then gives the client a higher rate,
Hmm.
or just kind of not so many deals get denied, but some deals get denied because some buildings do not fit this picture perfect um,
Right.
guideline that like Fannie or Freddie had set out, right?
Hmm.
So with these changes, and there is some good and bad,
Right.
changes that, make it a little easier to approve the building, some make it harder, of which I think three kind of stand out to me right now, just like kind
Well,
of how we were discussing it before.
yeah. But before we go into changes, why don't we talk about some of the things that, some of the transactions before in the past or some of the stories that you've
You
heard.
just like stories. You just want to get into like, oh my God, that happened.
Yeah. Well, so that way, they can understand like, oh, how these changes would
Okay.
pretty much impact, right?
Right.
Um, so I remember, when I was originating for another bank, whatever, and one of my real referral partners, she gave me an address. She's like, "Hey, I have a listing coming up in this building. Like, can you, take a look and see if it's approved or, if they've done transactions in there." It was, it was one of the condos in Midtown. It was heavy declined by a few major banks. And I told her, and she was like, "Well, what's the reason for?" This building was at that time, I think, 80% investors, meaning 80% bought in the building to rent out. So,
80% of the units in the
yeah.
building.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, 80 out of 100 units, that means they're investors or that means they're rentals or they could be, Airbnb or whatever be the case, right? So, what does that do for the financials? What do you think? What's your input on the financials if it's heavy investor concentration?
So to me, it's more of a theory thing.
Hmm.
So if I owned my primary residence and then I also own an investment property, and if went through some sort of financial hardship, the first
Hmm.
property I'm going to offload is my investment unit, right? My
Right.
investment property.
Yeah, because you're going to live there.
So yeah, so it's like, okay, well, I need to replenish cash. Let me offload my investment property, or let me default on my investment property, right?
Exactly.
Not,
Yep.
this is just a theory, right? I would not default on my mortgage or my
Yep.
property. But
Right.
let's just say, right, like if you had to pick one, you would default on your investment first. So, the bank's notion behind that is if a building is 80% investor owned, So investors own 80% of the units in the building. And let's say there is a nationwide economical downfall where it causes financial hardship on just a general amount of people, right? Not just one person on an off chance. Then what's going to happen to the building? People is going to start offloading, defaulting on their investment units, and then now they can't pay the bank back. The building goes into financial hardship. Like it's just the risk factor for the bank is now then higher. So
Hmm.
they will either not lend in that building because of the investor concentration, or you would get a higher rate. It would be you would have to go with a lender that is willing to take on that risk, but they're going to say, well, every month I'm going to collect more money from this buyer, from this, unit owner by charging them a higher rate.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's significant risk, and that's why the investor concentration was such a huge thing previously. What are some of the other things that, doing transactions that you run into all the time that you typically have to get exceptions for, right? One of them I think is the budgeted reserves.
Well,
That is a huge one.
are we going to do a drum roll first for this investor concentration? Because we told the horror story, but
Oh, no, no.
now,
We'll just go to all of them later. We'll just go
oh,
down the
okay,
line
so we'll
later.
we'll drum roll later. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Budget. That has been an ongoing issue, I think, on a
Mm-hmm.
lot of buildings. So the rule is you have to have, like, every building needs to have a budget. So before the next year comes, the building is supposed to come up with, all right, well, this is how much we're budgeting for income, and this is how much we're budgeting for expenses for the incoming year. And one thing that banks want to see that will comply with Fannie rules is that there is a 10% reserve line item in the budget. So the part that kind of trips me up that used to annoy me so much back then
Mm-hmm.
is, so apparently they're very strict about how the line item actually reads. So it has to say reserve budget or for reserves or something. It has to
Yeah.
have that word. It can't say contingency. It
No.
can't say for a rainy day. It can't say in the savings account. It can't just be 10% that's as a profit after they net out the expenses. It has to actually say for reserves, right?
Yes.
Um, and if it doesn't, they're going to pretend it doesn't exist. Even if, let's say, the building has a net profit of 20%, the bank is still going to say they may not deny the loan, but it's going to now be considered non-warrantable, and then that's where the higher rate situation comes in, right? More often than not. Um, so that's something I've come across a lot where I would have to go back to the management company and then the board and then the building and say like, oh, hey, can you just change the wording to say reserve line item? And more often than not, they don't like, they're just like, what? Doesn't make sense. Well, and then I had to explain to them, blah, blah. And some are receptive, some aren't. But that's something I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that thing wasn't as serious, or it didn't cause a lot of condo developments to get declined, or projects to get declined previously,
Hmm.
until the Surfside condo in Miami sort of, fell apart, and then they really took a look into that. Because previous to that, like, you can get exceptions. They were like, oh,
Hmm.
as long as they're like, hey, can you
That's
give
not
me
right.
a
Yeah.
yeah, they're like, oh, it's okay. Just give me a year to date, or just give me next year's budgeted P&L, so that way we can take a look at it, proposed budget. And they're like,
Right.
okay, well, you guys are increasing it. Okay, so we'll approve it this time. It didn't seem like it was that much of an issue, but and now it seems like with the past few years, if you don't have that, it seems like it's more of a hard line of, no, we can't approve this building, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like more so not having that line item because
Hmm.
it's not worded correctly is one thing. Not having reserves in general or any type of like, that 10% net profit, where they can put towards, if they had to reserves, then that's more of a, hard stop, especially for a lot of major banks. Um, Yeah, I mean, I could understand the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
But one other way that the banks used to look at that is if they didn't have that reserve line, there would be a way to kind of, paper through that if they
Hmm.
had heavy reserves in the bank account, right?
Yeah.
Now I feel like they're kind of like, all right, yeah, I see you have reserves, but we still want to see every year you're budgeting for reserves.
Yeah. Yeah. More so here, definitely a lot more here in sort of the, tri-state area because of the fact that we do have a lot more sort of, we have a healthy mix of new dev as well as some, existing established projects that, let's face it, a lot of them used to be very mismanaged, and now it's sort of like, hey, once these new condo rules get applied, then they're just like they're trying to catch up and catch up and catch up. So, what other issues have you ran into recently that has caused the condos to get declined?
Um, so I have some like stories, but they're
Yeah.
not, it has nothing to do really with like, these cookie cutter pictures, right? So recently I had to do a building where I was pretty much clear to close, but there was a gas leak in the building.
Oh my God.
And what confused me the most is like, okay, so if it's a single family and there's a gas leak, right? It's cause I can see the owner or whoever's living there being like, okay, well we'll figure out, we'll work around this. We'll like get an electric stove or something, right? But this was like in 100-unit building. So it was a gas leak that was easily fixed, right? It wasn't like a gas leak that was overly dangerous, but no matter what, when you're fixing something like that, they have to turn the gas off. And when you turn the gas off, it's for the building. You can't just turn the gas off for that one unit. So I mean, like we couldn't close because of that. But that,
Yeah, I don't want to get blown up.
exactly, like they have to turn the gas off to fix it, even if it's a minor leak, because it's dangerous. You can get blown up or the building
I
can
don't,
collapse.
I don't think there's
Um,
anything that deals with gas that you would say it's minor. That's pretty like, I don't know, it's pretty
right.
significant.
It's a significant in terms of needing to fix it, but
Yeah.
it was minor in a sense where it was fixable. It was just the process of it was significant because we're having to shut off the gas and things like that. And this, I mean, I guess this isn't just, it's not just a condo thing, but keep in mind, if the gas isn't turned on, like appraisers go in there and they turn on the stove, they check these things. So, it was something we couldn't close. But it wasn't, it's not specific to condos. It was just so happened that this one was a condo. But
Yeah.
to me, I was more like, okay, so what about the other units, right? Like if I was living there, like how do I function for like a few months without gas?
You can because your hot water is attached to the gas. Well, I
So
mean,
what
if
did
you're in the
everyone
city,
do? No one
yeah,
seemed to have an answer for that. So I asked that question to the
went to the
attorney. I was
gym.
like,
They went
what?
to the gym. They used their gym and not obviously not the gym in the building because they wouldn't have any hot water either, but they probably went to
Yeah,
those
everyone took
something.
cold water baths, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's healthy for you, isn't it? Isn't it supposed to be like
it is
good for weight
healthy.
loss?
Yeah. I don't know if it's for weight loss. I think it just sort of like wakes you up and like, sends your body into shock and things like that. That's why they do the
There's
cold
got to be
plunge.
more. There's got to be more to it. It's not just waking you up, right? Like, I mean, you're
It
you're like
resets,
a
it
healthy.
shocks your system. It shocks your system so
Okay.
that way like I think there's something to do with the cells and they just like sort of like they don't regenerate but like they restart over or something like that.
Like a
That's why people
recharge.
yeah, that's why people do ice baths, they do cold plunge and things like that.
Yeah.
It's help. But they don't do I
Okay.
mean, for athletes they do it all the time for recovery.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I like go take a shower right now and it's like ice cold water, I'll come back like, oh, like refreshed. Is that what you're saying?
Or you might be shivering. I mean, I
I
don't,
think it's more of a shivering thing. But I've
yeah.
seen people like, post on Instagram about like, oh, I just did like this ice bath, and I'm like, why?
Oh,
It's miserable.
like the
Yeah.
polar bear dives every single
Hmm.
winter. Listen, the polar bear dive isn't the worst thing. I think the worst thing that people do is when they do the polar bear dive in the Hudson River. Like that is disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, we're doing it for the health benefit." I'm like, "But the Hudson River is not healthy."
Speaking of the Hudson River, There was a black bear sighting along the Hudson. Um, I think like yesterday or the day before. I don't
It's
know.
amazing how people are so fascinated by all these animals, and I'm just like, oh, I see that shit in my backyard like all the
A
time.
black bear in your
Hmm.
backyard?
Yeah, yeah. Well, not in my backyard, in my front yard.
Really?
Yeah, we've literally had, yeah, we've had a family of black bears, like a mom and like three of her cubs. Part of it is just because of just, all the development coming into my town. Like my town has very specific sort of, affordable housing unit requirements due to there's a thing in New Jersey called the Mount Laurel decision, where every town has to have a certain every town that um that has sort of new construction condos or apartments or townhouses, whatever, they have to have a affordable unit requirement. So our town, in order to meet that requirement, has I think five or six new projects coming up, totaling about I think 4,000 units in my town. So because of that, there's been a lot of deforestation and all that stuff. So a lot of animals has
Yeah,
just been going
pushing the
everywhere.
bears out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like I said, my house, my neighborhood, it's literally like a live action Bambi fucking production.
that's so cute though. Like all I have are squirrels and stray cats who like, I don't know if you guys listen to the one of the episodes we had regarding my chickens where this cat massacred my chickens, but like I don't get the cute animals and whoever cat lovers and think they're cute, like I'm sorry, but like I
Yeah.
don't get any of the cute animals. I get raccoons. We have raccoons here that like rummage through our trash cans.
I had a raccoon dead in my pool.
Oh,
I had to we had to
scoop it up.
take like a rake or a shovel,
Oh,
scoop it up while my wife held the bag open and I dumped it in
oh,
there.
oh my God.
And then I ran and shocked my pool for about
Yeah.
2 days. I was just like, I'm not going in there, you
No,
know.
for sure. Yeah.
It's fine after that. But yeah, so my house has basically bears. It's got deer, obviously a lot of deer. Um, we in my backyard we have rabbits. Um,
Oh, that's cute.
I mean they so we found a hole and I lifted it up like a patch of like dead grass and there was like baby bunnies in there.
Okay, so you find a hole behind someone's house in Brooklyn, you lift it up, there's like baby rats in there.
Yeah, this is no
So it's
rats. This is
very
just bunnies.
different.
This was just funny. Luckily, I was about to cut the grass until I saw that. Then I was like, "Ooh, I'm not cutting the grass." So we just let it
Yeah.
go. We called up like the Department of Animal Control. They told us, is the mom around? So we looked around. Was like, don't we didn't touch it, or if like if my they did say, "Oh, are they breathing?" So my wife she put on gloves so that you don't get scents on it. Picked it up to
Yeah.
make sure they're breathing. Put them back. Covered it all up. And then we let them be.
Did the
Within
mom come
about
back?
So the mom doesn't stay there. The mom Because if the mom goes and checks on the babies, predators will sort of take note of that and know where it's at. So the mom will be close to the nest, just watching over it. Every once in a while, will sneak in, give it food, and then just bounce. But it's
That's
always there.
so cute. Okay. I mean,
So we
that's
saw that. It's
wow.
cute. It's cute until it's your house, and you're like, freak
But
again.
the bunnies, like
But
they're
then
like,
now, but then now this year, that happened like a year and a half or 2 years ago. Now this year, we have two rabbits that keep going in our yard. So I'm thinking, crap, it's gonna freaking
they're getting
deliver
busy
babies
in your
again.
yard.
And
Okay.
my dog's an older dog, and she's like blind and deaf to the world. Literally, we let her go out to do her business, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a rabbit there. And my dog doesn't do anything. And my dog's
Well,
a Westie. So a Westie is supposed to be like a critter, like a critter
yeah.
seeker. Like that was the whole
Hmm.
purpose of a Westie is to go after critters.
Right.
Somebody didn't tell my dog that. My dog just like, huh? It's like you hear like the Looney Tunes like doo, 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 doo. It's like I don't know what the dog does. But anyway, yeah. So we have that. We have um what else do we have here? So we have groundhogs or yeah, gophers or whatever it is. Um
Wow.
we have a
Okay,
lot
so
of
it's really
animals.
like you do have
Oh,
like
malnourished foxes too. We have
malnourished.
oh yeah,
What?
because you see them. Like so in the back of my house is a huge retaining wall. And like the lower end is probably about 4 feet. The higher end is probably 10 to 12 feet. So we'll see the fox climbing up it, and I'm like, oh. And you see it, it's like super skinny, super like mangy. It like you don't want
Like,
to go near it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God. That's
So yeah, I
that
see a
sounds
lot of
fun.
animals. Yeah, we've also had basically school alerts that says, the children did not go out today for recess because of the black bears. I mean, this is
Sorry.
what happens in the suburbs. Anyway, wow, we got way off topic.
I know.
We got
I'm about to
way
start
off.
talking about the overpopulation of turkeys in Staten Island right now.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
There's
so
actually
getting
an
back,
overpopulation of turkeys in Staten Island, but okay, we'll save
really?
that for another day. Yes, and they're not
I,
allowed. You're not allowed to hunt them. So there's just it's literally like there's just too many turkeys in Staten Island,
huh.
and they're not doing anything about it because they can't like they're like, well, you can't hunt them, you can't capture them, so you just have to let them roam. But now there's too many, and they're just like, oh,
That's crazy. 'Cause I remember seeing wild turkey, and I was like, oh, I'm just like, that's kind of cool. You see them like, I'm like, yeah,
do they actually make that sound? I don't know.
they do.
You,
Yeah.
in your
Especially
mind,
when
they
you
make.
chase them.
You chase the turkey?
I'm not going to kill them. I'm just going to chase them because they need to get out of the way. Dude, they stay in the middle of the street. So what are you going to do? Just sit there and honk at it?
So you got out of your car and you chased the turkey off the road.
Yeah, so I can drive. I'm not going to sit there and wait for a freaking turkey.
You're right. I, I could understand that.
Yeah, I'm going to get honked at, but then I point at the turkey. They're like, oh, okay, okay, okay. You're
Yeah,
good.
keep
You're
doing your
good.
thing. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least I'm
Oh
not
my.
like going out like, at least I'm not going out there and trying to kill it. Then it's just like, oh, okay,
No, I
that's
mean that would be weird. You get out of your car with like a gun and you try to like
lunch.
what?
Like some redneck, like, hey, ma, I got lunch right here. No, no. Um, wow, way off topic
I don't
again.
even know what were we talking about.
We're
What was this
talking.
episode about?
We're supposed to be talking about condo changes. And we
Condo
changed topics.
changes. Okay. Condo changes. I get it. Okay.
All right. So
Um,
let's talk about what's sort of coming up. And so Fannie and Freddie,
I
what do?
can't.
They
All I can hear is the turkeys right now. Can you make that?
It's the
All right,
same
that's
sound I
it.
made. That's
I
the
just
same sound I
needed
made
that.
during Thanksgiving with the freaking turkey thing.
I just needed to hear that again. Okay, all
There
right,
you
I'm
go.
good.
There you go.
We can go back to
So
serious stuff.
Fannie Mae sent out a letter,
Hmm.
beginning of March, detailing some significant changes in the condo review process, right? One of them is the elimination of limited review.
Ugh. So I love limited review.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I look for when I review a building to see if it's approved. I'm like, can I go limited review with this?
All right. But
Um,
but why do you do that? Why do you do limited review?
Less paperwork.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Less
Right?
paperwork.
I don't have to deal with that whole budget thing that we spoke about with 10% reserve line, things like that, because with limited review, we don't have to provide that. And also there's so a condo questionnaire has how many questions you would say, like a full review, like 50, 40?
Probably about 50 questions. Yeah, probably about like a full review. So for the people that don't know, that they don't know, right? From the
Mhm.
mortgage and lending aspect, whenever you have a condo, you have to send a questionnaire to the management agent, right? And you have two questionnaires. You have the limited review questionnaire and then you have the full review questionnaire. Limited review questionnaire is what? Like 25, 30
20?
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that
If
many.
even
There's
I wouldn't even say 30, I would say like probably closer to 20, right? Um, and the like we said before, the full review is like 50, right? So the theory is the more questions, the more
that gets uncovered.
there's area, yeah, there's more space for error, there's more space for items that we don't want the underwriter to kind of dive into, and then now in turn being able to either deny or make a building non-warrantable, right?
Hmm.
So just for path of least resistance, I always, whenever I look at a building to see if it's approved, I'm just like, oh, I wonder if I can go limited review for this, right? But like Gary was about to say before, or had said, um, they're removing that.
They're
No more
removing it.
limited review. Does not exist anymore. We have to do full reviews on
Yeah,
condos all the time now.
which
That's all.
I mean, for limited review, obviously it was a time saving factor and a lot of things, right? Because like you said, it was a questionnaire. So documents for limited review was what? Just the limited review questionnaire and
Master
master
insurance.
insurance.
That's
That's
it.
it. You don't need
Yep.
anything else, right?
Nope.
It saved buyers significant amount of money because they're not paying for financials, they're not paying for anything else. So now you have to do a full review on everything. And that's what? That is your questionnaire. That's 2 years of financials. That's your master insurance. What else? Oh my God, there's so much.
Well, you were saying before now we need a reserve study.
Well, I mean, yeah. So they've always wanted the reserve study, right? They've always wanted the reserve studies to make sure that that
They wanted it,
you're,
but it wasn't required.
yeah.
Is
And
it
now it seems
required?
like
No? Like that's the part that really makes me nervous. Um, because how much does it cost to do a reserve study? Do you know?
12,000.
Yeah.
A couple
And
thousand.
a lot
And
of
it's
buildings
time. It
actually
takes a lot
don't
of
have
time.
that. Yeah. But a lot of buildings do not have that. It's not something, it's just, especially established buildings, they're not going to turn around and come up with a reserve study now. If they did, usually new development buildings would have one um, from like the beginning.
Yeah.
But I've come across a lot of established buildings that do not have that. And based on the paperwork that they do have, and if the budget doesn't, it doesn't, it's not something that the bank likes, they would try to work around it and ask for a reserve study. So there were instances where I would ask the management company, hey, like, do you have a reserve study for me? And they're like, no, we've been around for 50 years, or whatever the case may be. And just, and I get that. The position of that is like, why would we need one now when we've been running fine for all these years? So for us to turn around now and say, well, we need it, so now you have to get it. I just can't imagine the pushback we're going to get going forward with something like that.
Well, it's not really. So I think having the reserve study that started to become a requirement after Surfside, right? A lot of stuff
Mhm.
changed because of Surfside. So I think the need for a reserve study, even on older established buildings, that was sort of started to be requested, but there was always like there was always like a time period for they're like, okay, you have to have it.
Mhm.
Um, I do think that it's going to be more cumbersome and a lot longer for lenders to sort of have to navigate a lot of these changes. Like you said, it's no limited review now. It's full review, right? The other thing about uh the 10% budgeted reserves. Now the new one is what? It's going to be 15%.
15%. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those people that were not budgeting 10, now it's going up to 15. So
And
that's
I would
another
say
change.
like 60, 70% of the buildings that I've reviewed, their budget is dollar for dollar. It's like they do it in a way where it's like if the building's income is like 50,000, their expenses is $49,950, right? Like it's
Hmm.
not, especially if they have heavy reserves in their asset accounts already. They're not going to go and say, hey, let me just keep budgeting year after year for this. Because in turn, what that's going to do is, let's say we go and tell them, hey, we need this 15% budget line item. And their income and expenses is kind of neck to neck. What's going to end up happening is they're going to have to raise HOA dues
Hmm.
in order to make up for that amount. And then they're going to have to tell their unit owners, like, okay, well, now we need to budget for reserves. Therefore, every month you're going to have to pay more so we can have money stashed aside. It's just not an easy or comfortable conversation to have. I can just imagine like that snowballing a little
Hmm. Yeah,
bit.
especially, especially something that I think people, it gets sort of lost that people don't understand is having that reserve study and the 15% budgeted sort of line item. Now it's different, right? Because now they're going to take a look at the reserve study, and instead of using the bare minimum reserves that you need, now, as of the new letter, you have to use the maximum, which
Hmm.
could be more than 10, more than 15%. Like that is to me, I'm like, oh, that's going to be significant,
Right.
especially like you said, a lot of these condos they operate, like minimal, like dollar for dollar, right?
Mhm.
They're not trying to have these crazy amount of reserves because they don't want to raise their HOA dues.
Yeah.
So now I think that's going to be significantly important when people are looking at condos, when they see these low maintenance fees with all these new changes, it's no longer going to be that low, you know?
What I want to kind of dive into offline and get more information about is if there's any, I wouldn't say it's a workaround, but kind of like, all right, so this is the requirement. We need 15% reserve line, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to look at the reserves they currently have at all? Are they going to look at, uh, are they going to accept like assessments to be placed? Things like that. Like I think it's got to be a little bit less black and white than that. There has to be some kind of like subtext to this. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
I
mean,
like I'm just like hopeful thinking maybe.
well, I mean, we've always, we've been in the industry for 20 plus years. We know that, with condos, it's not always black and white. There's
Hmm.
always going to be a lot of gray area that you can get by and get in one time.
Exception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fannie Mae
Hmm.
exceptions and things like that. You know, um, speeding exceptions. That's
Apparently,
also. Hmm.
well, just to kind of give a little more context to this, right? Like these rules have not actually rolled out just yet,
No.
or these changes, right? And from my understanding, some of them are rolling out, like it's not going to be one day where it's like, okay, as of today, all of this is going to be in effect. It's more of like, I think in July, there's going to be like the insurance aspect is going to get rolled out and enforced. In August, that's when they're retiring the limited review. In August is also when they're going to require if you're reviewing the reserve study, that they're not using the baseline anymore. And then the rest of it is going to be in effect in the beginning of 2027. So there is enough time for everyone to get used to this, look into it, gain some knowledge about it, before it's like kind of a shock to everyone, right? I guess that's why, Gary, you felt this was so important to discuss today.
Well, what? So I mean, so you brought up insurance really quickly, right?
Hmm.
So what's changing with insurance that people should be aware of?
The HOA deductibles max out at 50K per unit. So I'm gonna defer that over to you to explain because to be honest, insurance is the one area where I'm just like, I follow the formulas, but I don't agree with most of what they look for.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's actually good news, right? So increasing the deductibles per unit means that they can sort of shop around and lower the premiums. So I mean, as we all know, insurance these days is significantly impacting a lot of affordabilities, even on the commercial as well as residential side. So having sort of these increasing premiums and having higher deductibles per unit can help reduce the premiums policies. So that's a positive in my mind.
It's positive in terms of the premium being reduced, but if the
Hmm.
deductible is increased, I mean, I guess that's only going to be a thing if any claims are filed, right? And the premium is something you pay year over year, so it's kind of like you would rather have a lower premium. So yeah, yeah, okay.
So that I think from the HOA board itself, right? But
Hmm.
with any sort of changes, where's that sort of 50,000 get made up, right? So now it's going to get passed on to each individual
The
buyers.
walls and insurance now.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep. So the walls and insurance is probably going to have higher requirements, right, from each lender. So, that in itself probably a little bit less significant of an increase than if you had to increase than, the whole master insurance for the condo. So I think that is a positive.
So I think that would be more of, unless they're going to come up with that percentage that they want for the walls and insurance again,
Hmm.
because I don't know if you remember the time where the walls and insurance, and if you have the cost estimator, if you don't have
Yeah.
that, then you need 20% of the dwelling coverage to be the minimum, of 20% of the appraised value to be the minimum dwelling coverage. But
Hmm.
that was removed. Like that no longer applies, even though a lot of lenders still ask for it. I think it's just because they're used to that like rule of thumb. But Fannie doesn't require the dwelling coverage to be 20% anymore
No,
for
no,
walls in.
it's always
Um,
lender.
so I wonder if they're going to actually come up with a percentage or like an amount that they're going to need for the walls and insurance to compensate for this
I mean, they
other
probably,
master insurance
I feel
change.
like I feel like they probably will because I think that 20% of the loan amount, the dwelling coverage, it's been sort of been such a like old number that we've sort of
Hmm.
used, right? That hasn't been
Very old, from
changed.
beginning of
Yeah,
time. I think it's been like that since I started in the business, which was, beginning
yeah.
of time.
So with rising costs and rising sort of things, obviously I feel like that will get changed up. And I think, we're going to update everything to sort of what we need now in 2026. Um, One of the other good changes I think that I feel is
Very
the
excited.
the elimination of the investor concentration, meaning,
Yes.
it no longer is capped at 50 or 49, or they say 50%, but the rule was less than 50%. So
Less than 50.
49.9%. So now you can have as many investors own units. So a lot of previously declined buildings due to investor concentration are now approved, can be
Which is
approved.
actually a lot.
Yeah,
I've come
especially in New
across
York. Yeah.
so many, yeah, because the idea is that you want to buy in New York because it doesn't appreciate, I mean, it doesn't depreciate as quickly at least, right? Or like,
Hmm.
this it doesn't depreciate for the most part. So a lot of people outside of New York like to buy in New York to rent out,
Hmm.
which, it's very investor heavy. And then now it's like, okay, well, I want to buy to rent out, but then I can't get financing because this building is so successful in having investment units.
Yeah.
It deters a lot of investors. It's hard. Um, so this is going to be huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for like a lot of the new developments in New York City, because a lot of the new developments they were like the first buildings with a lot of foreign investors. Foreign investors, they like new, they like top of the
Hmm.
line, so they bought a lot of them. Um, and when there was so many of them, then a lot of the banks were like, oh yeah, I know you like this building, but too many people bought in it to rent out, so we can't approve you. So I think that will help a lot. So I think there are some positive as well as negative changes.
Yeah. I mean, if I was an investor, I would want to buy in a building that's investor heavy because it has a proven track record of being able to rent it out.
Hmm.
So, to turn around and say, oh, you can't buy in here because there's just too many people renting out here and they're doing so
Yeah,
well. Like,
yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, especially on the East Coast too. Like you said, it's the you're basically you're insulated against any sort of a lot of depreciation risks, unless it's COVID. Then everything sort of went out the window.
Right. Yeah, I
um,
mean, that's a different story. But even then, New York bounced back.
it did.
It
Yeah.
bounced back quick. I mean, New York is pretty resilient to that in terms of just real estate, the real estate market.
So, like you said, also the rents came back, right? Because there's a period of time where rents were pretty low because everybody was moving out of New York
Right.
into Jersey, Connecticut, upstate, whatever be the case. But
Hmm.
now rents are higher, right? So that's why it's a good sort of investment, sort of opportunities, investments in the city. What are the thing would you want to discuss as far as in changes.
Are there any other changes? I feel like we hit all of them already. Were there more
Did we? We
changes?
did such a great job. I don't even.
We always do such a good, even though we went off tangent and talked about Gary's Bambi themed backyard, we still managed to
Low
cover
budget,
everything.
low budget, low budget Bambi remakes. Low budget.
That's so cute
What?
though. I mean, I would love to like just open my door to the backyard and like see, Bambi jumping through the fields and then like a little bunny hopping around, some bear eating honey by the tree, Like that's so cute.
See, it's all cute and you're like, oh yeah, I would love to have this until you're walking your lawn and you step in a pile.
I didn't think of
Like
that.
deer,
That's true.
like deer poop is nothing. It's like little tiny pellets. It's like rabbit. It's like rabbit poop. It's just a lot of them, right? Bear poop. Oh, it's like
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. We can't stray too far from these conversations, right? Like every episode, we have to somewhat talk about like poop or like,
our personal lives.
something. Yeah, like I don't understand. Can we focus on the important stuff, which is real estate, real talk, and rates? Did I mess up?
Yes,
I messed up our, yeah.
we have not. We have never talked about rates. Just FYI.
Yeah, rates are no fun.
Rates are no fun. Who wants to talk about rates? Nobody wants to talk about
Think
rates.
about rates and I get a headache. So yeah. No.
That's pretty crazy.
Okay. I like talking about Bambi more. I feel like we're more focused when we're talking about Bambi.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what
Um,
else? What? I mean,
I
that's
mean, those are
all
like the
the
few heavy
major
ones.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Limited review being eliminated,
Investor
um,
concentration.
investor concentration, the reserve line item needing going from 10% to 15%, um, the reserve study no longer going off baseline, going off highest recommended.
Hmm.
That's a big one. I think I missed one. Insurance.
Yes. $50,000 per unit deductible, which I think is
So
good. I think we got
so far
everything.
there's like two good items, the investor concentration and the insurance, which is, it goes a long way. Small wins.
It is. So I do feel with all these condo changes, I do think that especially for buyers, especially for agents that buyer agents, it's important for them to sort of like navigate and direct their buyers to seasoned loan officers that deal with condos, right? A lot of them are just pretty much hands off. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever, just pick who your lender. And I get it, right? Because you have that sort of capacity where you can't sort of steer, you can't do anything, but you also you should also have that responsibility to sort of guide your client and saying like, hey, I don't know if you want to go with XYZ call center rep. Maybe you want to deal with somebody here that actually lives and works in New York because they know the property. I think that, increases the importance of having somebody locally that knows what they're doing, whether it's here or California, right? Whether they're buying a condo in California or anywhere else. I think it's significant to have a local expert that you work with.
You'd be surprised at how loan officers who are not like they don't live in New York, they don't live in an area that is condo or co-op heavy, how the need to have a condo or co-op approval prior to closing, it just kind of goes right over their head. Like they have no idea what that even means. They don't even know they have no idea that something like this could actually break a deal. So they go and they do what they do know, which is they approve the borrower. They're probably really good at like reviewing the income and the credit and the assets of the actual buyer, thinking, yeah, we got this. It's fine. I know what I'm doing. And then they have no idea there's this whole other aspect to that loan that will literally kill the deal.
Yeah.
It's not something like, oh, well, it's not so great, so we'll just work around it, we'll work on it later, or whatever the case may be. Like, it can actually kill the deal if it's a building that could not be approved. But
Oh,
I've spoken to
100%.
so many loan officers that's not in New York. So, I don't even, it's not about them not knowing what the business or them being less seasoned.
No.
It's just
It's,
that's not their area of expertise because they've never had to deal with a condo or co-op.
yeah.
And
It's
why
not
would they
common.
just know? Yeah.
It's not common for where they live, so they don't
Mhm.
have to know. Like so a lot of the loan officers that aren't around the area, they'll probably deal with a condo like one out of every 10 transactions. You
If
know,
even.
if even
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But loan officers here in the tri-state, in New York and New Jersey, like it's like, well, especially if you work in the city, like you're only dealing with condos and co-ops. You're lucky if you get a multifamily.
Right. But what I have been seeing a little more of the past, like I want to say year or two, less people going, at least like in New York, less people just going on the internet, being like searching, going to like Rocket Mortgage or whatever the case may be, and finding a loan officer or like, trying to do their transaction through that. So that's kind of been a savior. Because there was a
Yeah.
period of time where, a lot of people were doing that. They were just kind of like Googling I need a mortgage for this, or like, what's the mortgage rate for that? And then you'll get all these ads, right? And then you just click one of them, start the process, and then they send you to a call center, and a person with a 1-800 number calls you to get the process started. But you're working with someone in like
Detroit.
Wisconsin, okay, or Detroit. And they're going through the process because the rate sounds good and it's easy enough because everything was done online until you need the building approval, or until, let's say it's a co-op and then the board's like, I need the recs, and you're like, who do we call for the recs? And like, da da da, it's like, it's not, I haven't had to deal with that as much the past like year or two, where a client would come to me because they were originally at like a, you know, rocketmortgage.com situation.
I mean, I
Definitely.
mean, you typically love those calls anyway, don't you? Like, especially someone who's just
Oh
like, I was
yeah.
working with Rocket, and I don't have anything against Rocket. She just happened to mention Rocket, so I kind of had to say
I was
Rocket.
gonna say, I was like,
Sorry,
all
sorry,
right,
Rocket Mortgage. Anybody
we're
that works with,
we're
sorry.
gonna get banned from like, yeah.
I know, sorry. We don't, I don't, fine. Spaceship Mortgage. I'll just say Spaceship Mortgage. They were like,
But yes,
Queenie, I was working with Spaceship Mortgage, and they couldn't approve my condo. And then you look at it, they're like, oh yeah, I know what to do with this, right?
yeah,
So definitely
exactly.
localized expertise is especially important with condos and somebody that knows that. But
Hmm. So,
I think we talked a lot about condos and my
yeah,
backyard.
in your back, in your backyard.
And I'm going to name every single animal that comes into my backyard.
You should, but then now you're gonna be like invested, right, and attached to this animal.
I will.
I don't know. I name an animal, I get attached. So I'm like, so I spent 2 hours last night. What are you laughing at me? I spent
I'm
two
just no no
hours.
no no. I'm just laughing because I thought of something when you're like, well, if you name it, then you sort of get attached, right? But we're Asian. We like to name things like something cute and something like Asian specific. But I'm like, how many people do you know that named their like pet like Boba or like something ridiculous, right? I'm like, well,
Okay,
what if I named one of them Dim Sum? Am I gonna get too attached, or am I gonna be like, oh, Dim Sum?
it's actually so funny you said that. So my husband's dog is named Dim Sum. No, she passed away. Like, but I was gonna say, um, I didn't name my dog anything cute. My dog's name is Gao Zai, and I don't know if you know what Gao Zai is in Cantonese.
No, and that'd be a
Yeah,
horrible
very
thing to like.
lazy. It's a
Oh,
little dog. It's just little dog. Like
uh,
when I first got when I first got her, she was so small, so I was just like, oh, this little Gao Zai, like this little, this little dog.
so you
And
named your
then
dog Dog.
yeah, I named my named my dog pretty much. And like that's the only thing she responds to now. So it's like I had to give her an English name. So her name is Bella, but
Oh my
that's
gosh.
just that's just because when we go to the vet and stuff, like it's just easier. But she doesn't respond to Bella, so people were probably like, "Hey Bella, come here," and she's just like,
Yeah, because you named her whatever it is in Cantonese, and you literally named her little like
"Dog." I
dog.
like, yeah, yeah,
You named your dog Dog in
yes.
Cantonese. That's
She
amazing.
responds to it, so it just really sucks because I for people who don't speak Chinese, I would tell them like, "Oh, my dog's name is Bella," and they're like, "Oh, Bella, come here," and then now it looks like my dog doesn't listen. 'Cause my husband just stares at them like. Who's Bella?
She's like,
You
yeah, that's not my name. My name is Doug.
Yeah. It's the same
That's
concept how
hilarious.
like, my son has a first name that he never uses. So we go to the pediatrician and then they like go off the first name and then I'm like the mom who doesn't know my kid's name because they'll be like, "Oh, where's this person?" And then I'm just sitting there because I'm not used to them calling that name. And then it
That's
takes like a
pretty
minute.
interesting. That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. So your son's name that everybody knows is not his actual first name.
No.
Oh, is this something
My
embarrassing?
No, it's not. My
Okay.
husband's first name is also not something that everyone knows. That's why I did that. It's the same first name.
Okay,
Uh,
well, my name is my first name, so I'm not
are you sure?
yes, maybe I don't know. Let me go look at my birth. Let me go look at my passport.
You should double check, yeah. Because if you had a mom like me, like Ryan doesn't know. So he's in for a surprise when he gets older.
Is it at least a normal name?
It is. It's actually so
Okay,
normal. There's no name more normal than this.
okay, okay. So it's not like one of those like weird names like, oh, it's Michael, but it's spelled blah 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 blah, and you're like, what the hell?
No, this is like so normal. Like there's literally like no name more normal than this. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So
hmm
and it's
If
nothing
you
that
guys want to know what it is, you're gonna have to listen to the next few episodes and see when I'm gonna disclose this special
well,
name,
yeah,
special
it's
normal
not
name.
something embarrassing.
No,
Like
it's just so normal that like it's embarrassing.
yeah, like we knew somebody that growing up, he always went by his middle name because his first name was, you know, I don't know why your parents would ever name it. It was just they named this kid Gaylord. Like that is such a horrible name for a
There's like a
kid.
very popular, a very expensive or lucrative hotel chain, Gaylord.
Yeah, the Gaylord. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that. But it's a hotel chain. You're not
It's a
like a
very
6 year old.
old school name. That's what it is. It's like an old, yes. I mean, like that would really, like, I would imagine junior high and high school being very hard
Junior
with a
high,
name.
like elementary school. Like, what is your name? Like, I mean,
Gaylord.
that's
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Like, why do these? Do I do this stuff? And I'm sorry. Like, we are in the age where everybody tries to be as unique or like with their kid's name as possible. Like,
So I just checked to give the parents some credit. That name is actually it's a great name, the meaning behind it.
yeah, it's a
So
great meaning.
Gaylord originates from the old French word, and it means joyful and high-spirited. And in and also it could mean like strong and powerful. So it's a
Okay,
very like, you know, it's a good name in
it's a
terms of the meaning
great
behind it.
name.
But yes, kids could be
Mean kids are
very
freaking
brutal
mean.
these days. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what's the
like
middle name?
oh, called him Gabe. Gabe.
Gabe.
Yeah.
So, so
Not the Gabe that we did an episode with. That is not his name. It was somebody.
I was like,
I
everyone's
don't think.
Googling this person or Gaylord Gabe. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they named their son Gaylord Gabe.
It's crazy. It's
Gaylord
like I don't.
Gabriel.
Gabriel is obviously it's a great name. It's a great name.
But
A
then you
very.
put the two names together. Like is his first name's Gaylord, his middle
Mm,
name's Gabriel.
mm-hmm.
Gaylord Gabriel.
Yep.
That's a mouthful.
People do some weird stuff with their names. They do some weird stuff with their wacky names. They have different spellings, different pronunciations.
Well, I
It's
gave
like,
Reina, I instead of doing what I did to Ryan with like the first name being different, I
yeah.
kind of did like the middle name to match with Ryan and
Okay,
Ron's
that's
first
nice.
name. So it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
but I don't think
great.
she's gonna be happy when she gets older, though. I don't think any of them are gonna be happy. Like it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
I mean, what
I
happened
think
to
it's
like the
funny.
normal names? What happened to normal names? What happened to like
There's so
Frank?
I told you it's very normal. Like Ryan's first name
Oh,
and Reina's middle name's very normal. Too normal.
yeah, but like what happened to like, like Like there used like Frank. Frank. Why with the name Frank? I don't know of any new kid named Frank.
Would you name your son Frank?
No, but his name is Brady Patrick. We
Okay,
didn't have
but
a we
that's
didn't have
not
a
as normal as Frank.
we didn't have a reason to name Frank, right? Like I didn't know a Frank growing up. So I mean, I knew Franks growing up, but there was nobody named Frank that was like of significance in my family.
That is true. So Frank is one of those standard common names that kind of just like died,
Hmm.
right? Like there aren't any new Franks.
No, I haven't seen any Frank.
I've had Frank, like I have friends named Frank, but I think that's where it kind of ended, right? Like with our generation.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
aren't any new Franks.
I don't
Just
know
like
of any.
how,
I don't know of any kid named Frank.
yeah, yeah, that's one of the names that I think died with our generation. What else? There's like William. There aren't a lot of new Williams,
No, no. We
new
know William.
Johns.
We know
We, yeah,
William.
but our generation, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that
Yeah,
all of
that's
those
another
names,
one. John.
yeah,
That's right. I don't know a lot of kids. Yeah, so
new
that's actually a
John.
question. Yeah. I actually asked my daughter, like, so her elementary school. So we have, my town has 10, no, 9 elementary schools going on 10 because of, the 4,000 new units. We've had to make a new school. So now we're going to have 10 elementary schools as of next year. My daughter's school has 3 classes for her second grade class. I asked her, "Do you have a John in your class? In any class?" Not a single John.
Nope, no Johns.
Me growing up, I had like 3 or 4 Johns.
Yeah, yeah. John, William, Frank, Tim,
Tim. I mean, I
Timothy.
know Tim. Um,
But are there any
David.
new
David.
Timothys?
There's not a lot of young
Oh my
Davids.
God. I dated like 4 Davids. Okay, sorry.
I'm not touching that one.
Anyway, cut that out.
Maybe
Um,
that's why you didn't want to name him David.
I would never. There's so many. Honestly, there's so many Davids.
You're contributing to the death of David. But all the names are just like all the normal names that like all the biblical like names and all that stuff. Like it's just
Yeah.
out the window. It's just
Everyone's taking like they want to keep the meaning significant, but they're just like adding their own twist to it, right? And I'm guilty of that. Even like the way I spell Reina is not the way it should be spelled, right? Like I'm just trying to be different. But yeah,
everybody wants to be different. Everybody's
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's okay. But there's nothing wrong with a David. There's nothing wrong with a Frank. You know, I wouldn't name my kids. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just I don't have a need to name. I'm not having another kid, so I'm not gonna magically have a David. But all those classic names are just no longer around. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I don't know. You know what name never made it? Or you know what other name isn't around? Gary.
Are you kidding me? I see Garys all the time, and like it's
New
so no, no,
Garys? Little Garys? No,
no, no, no, no, no, no.
that's what I mean. Like those are the names that like I think Gary died with your generation too.
Yeah, I always see it on TV like every once in a while, and it's
But
always like,
older Garys,
yeah,
not like there's
yeah,
no kid like named Gary. Even in TV, there's no kid named Gary.
yeah.
So
No,
bye bye the Garys too.
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, we're not going to talk about your name. Queenie is just like
It's never, yeah, we're not gonna
I,
make
I
it with
I've
that.
known
But
2 Queenies in my life.
really, that's a lot already.
You know the other Queenie.
I do.
She's a
The
real estate
Asian?
agent. Yeah, you know that one, Queenie Ma.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah,
yes.
those are the only 2 Queenies. I don't know of any other ones,
And
but
both in real estate.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Well,
sure some people.
there are other Queenies, but like their name probably isn't Queenie. Like Asian Queenies. You know, their name is like something else. And then
Yeah,
they're
it
like,
starts
call
with
me
like
Queenie.
KW,
You
like
know?
Queenie, Queenie. Yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
how many like professors I've had in college that like couldn't pronounce my name? I think it's because I'm Asian and it has like an Asian last name too, that they just assume that it's like, oh, it can't be pronounced the way it's spelled. It has to be like I've had like
Queen Eye,
Kenny. I've had Kenny. I've had
Penny.
like, yeah, like, and I've just more often than not, they just kind of struggle. They're like, and I'm like, Queenie, like I'm here. So yeah, it's
That's amazing. The fact that you literally have queen. It's queen.
yeah.
The only
I
part that
mean
I probably
they,
get mixed up on is that Y sound. Is it a E? Is it an I? Like, what do I say?
yeah. So
Like, that's
usually, I
the
mean,
only.
that's not even spelled norm. Like usually, it's Queen with an IE, so people know it's like Queenie. That's the normal way to spell it. Yeah.
Mm. So it's like the name Molly. Sometimes people spell it with a Y. Sometimes people spell it with an IE. There you go.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
There
We
we go
just.
again. Okay.
Okay. I think
Reel it
we've.
back.
That's all right. So wheel it back. Let's close this out. But
Yes.
yeah, a lot of changes coming with condos. A lot of changes with people naming their kids.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of changes. But anyway, I
Any
want to say
suggestions that you guys have for us in terms of, farm animals, jungle animals, barn animals? I'm sorry.
names of
Names?
people.
Yeah. Just drop
Yeah,
us a comment and we can talk about that the next episode. But most importantly, the condo changes. If anyone has any questions about that or wants to elaborate, wants to add to it, or just
yeah,
anything, just let us know. Because this is something that's being rolled out late mid-year into later in the year, even into next year. So we have plenty of time to dive deeper and answer any questions.
and with that, thank you all for tuning in. My name is Gary, and with my partner Queenie, we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.